a parenting and family podcast for the freaks, geeks, nerds, and weirdos, the outcasts who went on and had their own. We're used to being the exception to the rule, so come along with us as we try to also live exceptionally. We're here to help make you the best version of your freaky family. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 119 of Peace Freaks. I am your host, Nikki P, here with my lovely wife and co-host, Lizzie.
Hello.
How are we doing, babe?
We're doing all right.
Like a good all right, like a sort of all right? Like what kind of all right are we doing?
Well, I mean, I already know what we're talking about, so I'm not going to pretend I'm super excited about it, but it is a conversation I think we should have. So, yeah, I'm excited to have a conversation, and I always like hanging out with you. That's always a good thing, so.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, a conversation today about, it makes us different than a lot of other people, at least.
Yes, and we are talking about being freaking weirdos, so we might as well talk about being weirdos.
One of our idiosyncrasies. Let's start this episode out before we get into the thick of things, the same way we start everything out. It was a busy week. We actually accomplished a bunch of stuff this week.
We did.
I'm not sure if like the change in the diet that we've had me on, I don't know if I'm losing weight or nothing, but I did feel more energetic and less lethargic this week.
Well, I think that counts for something. Goodness.
I'll take it what it is. I definitely did more on both Wednesday and Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So I rearranged the entire downstairs and moved furniture. We cleaned out the garage.
Yeah, that all needed it doing. So I'm very glad that we've gotten a lot of it done because
we did like a half on the garage.
Well, yeah.
I also fixed a lamp that I've been talking about fixing for ages.
Right.
Now it's done.
That was in the garage. There was also a possum in our garage. So that was a fun thing that
The
happened.
possum was cool.
Yeah, it was.
Just kind of wrapped up in our own little family world here.
Yeah, we did a lot of that.
Trying to ignore everything that's going on out there. I should mention, I was on a panel discussion making jokes about the vice presidential town hall, or what do you call those things?
Yeah, that thing that happened.
Yeah.
Debate, I guess.
Yeah, they're not debates. They may call them that. That's not what they are.
I know, clearly, because nobody's actually supporting any points or making any points.
Just being stupid. At any rate, we all picked on it pretty heartily.
Nice.
So if you go and look that up over Make Liberty Great Again, you could probably find it somewhere. We didn't, because we were so busy this week, we actually didn't have a whole ton to read. I did finish reading that Eugenics and Other Evils by G.K. Chesterton.
Nice.
It was a hard book to read just because it's written in very posh British from a different era language.
Yeah.
So it was a bit much in that regard, but it was interesting to see a different perspective on some things that I think we all see. Stuff that they saw coming back then that we're kind of dealing with the aftermath of now.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Okay.
I started another book that hopefully will be done by next episode, but I'd been cracking through a lot of shorter books, and fiction also reads a little different. I don't want to miss too much when I'm doing like the academic type books, so I don't get through them as quickly as the others.
Okay.
What did you read this week?
I started reading The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer, and it's one that I've heard about a ton on School A Sisters podcast and a couple other places, and so finally found it at the library, and I'm digging into it, and it's been good. It's very prescriptive, very practical, and so I'm kind of taking my time with it, but I've definitely enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah,
I feel like I've read that one before.
it's possible.
At the very least, I know it's been talked about in some of the circles I'm in.
Nice.
So before we get into everything, folks, if you have a parenting story you want to share on one of our Wednesday episodes, or a product or service that you think families might be interested in, please get a hold of us. You can do that on social media. You go to peacefreaks.com. It'll show you. You can find whichever one you want, whatever suits your flavor of social media. Personally, Goodreads is mine, but otherwise, you can email us at peacefreaks@nickpicone.com. And also, if you've got topics you'd like to hear us talk about, please send those as well. So, I guess we'll get into things.
Nothing to lose. My God.
Second marriages, as the title is going to say.
Yep.
For those who don't know, I am not a first husband.
No.
Liz is my first wife.
Right.
Not for lack of trying. I tried like hell to knock some women up back in the day. It did not take.
So you say.
I was trying so hard.
Yeah, but managed to work with me. So there's that. But
Honey, that's because it's fate. This was the way it was meant to be.
right. Yeah, no, and I tend to agree, honestly. But yeah, I was married before, and I don't know. It's hard for me to make any definitive statements about like the decision that I made at the time. Other than obviously it wasn't probably the right one.
Well, you don't need to go and make anything definitive because here's what we're going to do. I'm going to help you lead this conversation because first things first, give just the quick backstory to how you managed to get into your first marriage.
Well, I met a guy online, and we were very young and very, I think, interested in kind of committing ourselves physically to what we believed was the faith, the idea of our faith, and kind of getting out into the adventure of that. So he felt he needed a wife so he could go start his ministry, and I felt I needed to do anything to get out of my mom's house, not because, there was anything particularly abusive or horrible about my mom. It was just, there wasn't a lot going on, and I wanted to kind of get some life going, and I felt that this was maybe the jump start that I needed to kind of get to something. So yeah, I jumped at it, and it was like my 18th birthday. It's actually the day I got married. And that was basically because my dad was not for it, but he also wasn't really in my life. So it didn't at the time seem reasonable to take his word as being something that should deter me from doing this thing I felt I needed to do. So yeah.
Okay. And now nuts and bolts of it. How long were you married to said guy?
I was married legally probably 9 years. And we were separated for two of those or 1.5 of those. And yeah, so I got married at 18, and by 28, I was definitely officially divorced. And there was a lot of kind of weirdness towards the end of that for obvious reasons.
I mean, not least of which is he was a fairly strange man.
He was.
He hugged me, Liz.
I don't hang out with normal people. I think we all know that already.
Yes, that is our demo. If you're weird, we're weird people.
Yeah. And he was weird. He was very, differently weird than I am, and very differently weird than anyone I would hang out with now. But, we were trying to accomplish something. It did not work out. And
ultimately, what was the reason that you left for?
I decided that I wasn't being fair to myself or fair to him, because what we'd initially decided that we wanted to do, I realized that was not really something I was equipped for. That wasn't really, I didn't want to the wife of the part of the figurehead of this big ministry he wanted to make. He wanted to go crusading, and at the time I thought maybe that was something I was supposed to do, but I don't really think that's where my heart was,
Okay.
And with my heart not in it, it wasn't really fair to try and keep him, attached. And it came down to that point in my life where I knew I was going to start to want to have kids. And I knew that was not, where I wanted to have my kids. That was not the way I wanted to raise my kids. That was not who I wanted to have my kids with. And so at that point, what's the point in dragging that out?
So the moral of the story is nature calls?
I mean, not necessarily nature calls, but
you're on the clock and you're like, well, I'm running out of time and this ain't cutting it. So
at a certain point, you have to be honest with yourself and, with your life and the choices that you've made. I could kind of gloss over the things that didn't work in our relationship long enough, thinking I was going to kind of be able to spiritualize my way out of it, when at the core of it, I probably should have seen red flags and stopped the train long before I did.
Do you have any ill will or bad feelings about it now, or just it's what it was?
I mean, I have bad feelings about it just because, it feels like a failure on my part. Obviously, marriage, I was raised was supposed to be a forever sort of thing. I believe that's the intention of it. So, yeah, I have bad feelings about it, but not towards the person I was married to. I believe he was doing what he felt was right, and whatever friction there was in our relationship was probably more due to, just the communication style not being good, and the relationship just not being what we each needed. And you can trying to squeeze a square peg into a round hole is obviously going to cause injury to the peg and the hole. So
You say square peg in a round hole. I'm thinking like square penis into a cheese grater.
yeah, it's not that deal, but yeah, technically, there were all sorts of issues in all sorts of areas that just didn't get dealt with, and eventually it just became not a healthy thing. So
All right. Well,
yeah.
First marriage aside, so you were married, things didn't work out, and you lost a decade of your life to that.
Yeah.
I hate phrasing it that way, but to me, like, that is very specifically what it would feel like, because so much of, hey, when we met, the reason I wanted to get married is I want to find the person that I'm going to take on life with. We're going to form this team, and we are going to win one way or the fucking other.
Right.
Whatever that means, we're going to fucking win.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that's finding a partner that has you don't have the same strengths, you don't have the same weaknesses, so you can kind of even each other out.
Yeah.
And take on the challenges that you have. If you're a pitcher, you don't go find another pitcher. You go find a first baseman or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
I don't know sports, so those may or may not actually be positions.
Good metaphors or whatever.
No, I'm sure they're not good metaphors, but they may not even actually be positions. I don't know.
You're right.
Now, what did this marriage have going against it immediately going into it because of the first marriage?
Me and you?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, just the trepidation of making that sort of commitment again, because, obviously I felt I'd had good reasons for doing it the first time at the time. And, so you get gun shy, I think. There was also, just differences in me as a person at that point. I was less optimistic then I think I even am now. So
why is that?
Just because I felt I'd kind of screwed my life up, I had very specific ideas of what, I like to have the right answer. I talk about that all the time. What the right answer, relationship wise was, and I'd obviously gotten an F, I'd failed. And so coming into a relationship again, was of course going to be daunting, I think.
Okay. Now, we've been 7, 8 years now?
Something like that, yeah.
Does it ever concern you as we come closer to the duration of that first marriage to that we end up the same way?
I mean, I've always had
like you're just all of a sudden in 9 years you're gonna freak the fuck out and
just be like, screw this noise.
Just say, fucking I'm out, deuces, bitches.
No. I mean, there's always been things and situations that, have put me or can be triggering, for lack of a better word. I hate using that terminology really, but
like what?
Just like when we first got together, we did talk about something, and it would remind me of a conversation that we had, and I had in a previous relationship about that something. And, but our dynamic has always been so different from the dynamic of me and any other previous partner, really.
Why is that? What's different about it?
What's different about it is...
You're a fucking lunatic, Nick. You're out of your goddamn mind. It's hard to take anything you say seriously.
No, I mean, I think because you kind of are a put it all out there sort of a person, you're sensitive enough to recognize when I'm not doing that. So then you actually kind of wait for me, and you recognize my processing being different from yours. And usually, you're encouraging me to kind of, okay, I realize you probably need to process this. Come talk to me when you know how you feel about it,
It's really difficult to do that, by the way.
I'm aware, but I've not had another partner who was even capable of that. And I think that was necessary. And I think I've gotten better over the years, but
you've gotten much better at it. Problem is your daughter has the same fucking thing, and it kills me.
I know. God help us.
Irma refuses to talk about how she feels.
I know.
And it's me. I'll tell anyone who'll listen. I feel blah, 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 blah. I'll go on forever. Just, you didn't even have to. I don't even have to know you. Talk to complete strangers about how I'm feeling.
Yeah. But especially in the beginning, that was something that I just desperately needed, even to be able to assess those feelings for myself, because I was, I think, from time, way, way past, so interested in keeping relationships just fixed and happy and looking good, because I was making nice was, what made my family work growing up, that I couldn't even to myself express, any issues that there were and be able to work through them. So, that's just been a huge, huge difference. And I think a huge help and helped me mature as a person. So yeah, there are always those concerns, but I don't think there's any specific like date that I'm like, oh, this is the date when like things could go haywire. And, I think we had a conversation a long time ago, like when we hit.
Well, see, I got lucky. Prior to you, my longest relationship was 7 months.
I know, right? Right.
So like everything after 7 months was uncharted territory. I've got no precedent set.
I know.
Nothing.
Yeah, and we had that conversation, and I said, well, when we hit 10 years, then we'll know we're in uncharted territory as far as that goes. And my parents, I think, stayed together for like 14 or something.
I was always just a good enough fuck for 7 months, and then, time to move on.
Which doesn't seem reasonable to me at all, but okay. I mean, you're not bad in the sack. I'm not saying that, but
you've got to deal with the tism though, and that's the thing that I think people have difficulties with. Those moments where I go completely emotionless, and I'm just like, well, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why are you feeling things right now? This is not the time to feel things.
Yeah, I guess.
This is the time to fix things.
Yeah, I don't know. That has always worked well enough for me, I guess.
Well, it's because you do the same thing.
Well, maybe maybe that's why that works.
I just know I waited out. Eventually we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of patience, building patience and trust.
Yeah. And I think that is something that we've kind of actively worked towards. We've had, our nights of long conversations of like, nope, we're going to fix this right the fuck now, because otherwise it's going to be a thing and we're not going to have a thing. And that's why we don't have things.
Well, I have a thing. It's attached down below my chubby belly.
Not that kind of thing.
Okay.
I mean, like things blocking the kind of flow between us sort of things.
If you knew somebody who wanted to kind of get back out there into dating.
Okay.
After a first marriage, what are your cautions or your things to be wary of?
Okay, well, thank God you didn't ask me for advice, because I have no good advice for people. I literally just went fuck it, I'm probably screwed and my life.
Yeah, you should hear the stories of all the horse cocks she found in the interim there.
Well, it's not even that. My ex told me I was probably going to hell if we didn't get back together, and I believed him. So I basically was like, I don't know, nothing I do matters now. I'm probably going to die in a gutter and go straight to hell. So whatever. I was not making very good decisions in my life at that time. I would not recommend that sort of attitude. Whatever you got to work out with.
Well, when I met you, it seemed more like you were acting out of anger against the failure of your relationship more than acting for things that you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's a healthy place for anyone to be. So whatever you need to work out with.
Maybe you'll pick up a few horse cocks in the way, but.
No, whatever you need to work out with, like people in your life or, God or, whatever, you should just deal with it. You shouldn't, try and bury yourself in bad decisions. And like, I'm so terrified of that thing that I did last night. I'm not even gonna have to think about like what happens tomorrow. Like, that's a bad place to be.
At least he was a D&D kid.
But yeah, no, he was. I think kind of. We never. I think he had been briefly and then decided. I don't know.
I became friends with him on Facebook, everybody, because I'm that weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was still friends with him on Facebook for a while there. Thank God I'm still friends with some of the people I knew back then, and they're, I wasn't completely excommunicated.
Living different lives, good for them.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess my advice would be just like to really try and take that time and actually look for things that you want out of life. That would be good. And one thing that I did learn in that time, even in making poor decisions, I did learn, thank God, some of the things that I do want and I don't want in a relationship. I did meet people that I got along with really well. And I did have experiences that kind of made me feel like, oh, I actually can relate to people. And I actually do like this part of being in a relationship or, that part of being in a relationship. And it's not necessarily something that I just don't have. It's just maybe that I wasn't going about it the right way then,
Or it wasn't just something you were going to get from the person that you were with.
Right. And so it wasn't something that was just fundamentally non-existent within my soul. It was just something that I wasn't capable of in the situation I'd created for myself. And those things are useful to know.
That's a lot to get out of her, folks, because she has no situational awareness.
I don't a lot of the time. I've gotten better at that too, but
no, not much. I'm still waiting to get the call that she's walked headlong into traffic.
Every now and then.
Every day.
And I thought, anywhere. Yes, I thought, anywhere that she wants to go.
So enough of the past.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in your second marriage. We're having our life together.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got going on in that garden this week?
Okay. Well, we pulled out the kale because we were starting to get cabbage aphids. It was becoming a whole thing. So I pulled it out. I'm going to kind of let that rest, and we're going to put in other stuff. But we pulled down our tomato plant, and we're letting those ripen because you were listening to the survival podcast, and Mr. Spearco was saying he just he does that now and then. Oh, he does that now and then, and gets the tomatoes to ripen on the vine, but not with the vines actually in the ground. So I thought I'd give that a shot. Seems to be working. And we planted more peas and carrots. All the wintry stuff.
I'll take your word for it.
We cleared out, like you were saying, the garage, more space in the garage, and we've got all our winter sewing bottles there waiting for a shelf or something to open up so we can have them.
Yeah, I've still got more work to do out there myself to clean some stuff out. I mean, we got rid of some big stuff.
Yeah. So we can have them in a sensible place for when we're ready to actually start sewing in them. But yeah, so all that's trucking along. And we've got more herbs and spices. I'm getting to throw fresh herbs in my pot roasts and my soups because it's finally soup season. I'm really excited about that.
I don't know why you think there's ever a not soup season, but whatever.
I don't know. People don't seem that into a big steaming hot bowl of soup when it's like 90 degrees outside and they're already melting. So
whatever. As long as you got a bowl of fruit for afterwards.
Yeah.
Just you had a good reason to grow your own, folks. I find out today that can't go get a fruit bowl from the store.
I know. Flipping recalls. Yeah, that's crap.
So if you were growing your own, was the way you get it.
Yep, you just have it.
How about on the homeschooling front?
On the homeschooling front, we're moving forward with things. Been getting more into the history and geography because the kid likes reading. So I got a lot of those kind of books from the library. Love going to the library.
I'm excited we got our kiwi crates on the way.
Yes, and that'll hopefully just build on all the stuff we're learning.
And we will have a link up on the website soon, folks. Because if you'd like to help us out, I am going to be shilling Kiwi Crate because the stuff looks awesome.
Yeah,
and it's for what you get. They're not crazy expensive. So
no, I think it's going to be a really good fit for our learning experience.
So what else we got?
Just
as far as homeschooling goes.
Oh, as far as homeschooling, more writing. Just getting the kid to write is always fun because she likes to write us very pointed, very expressive notes that I do nominal correcting of like grammar and punctuation and whatnot. But actually, I'm seeing improvement. It's kind of amazing.
Oh, she's getting better.
Yeah,
she's definitely reading on her own. She's reading about her magic kitten today.
Yes, the flipping magic kitten books, the joke books, the random factoid books.
She's really excited for Halloween.
Yes, she is. We've got our whole thing going on there. We're reading actually a ghost story for history. It's one of those magic treehouse books, and it's actually.
Speaking of ghost stories, we mentioned last week the Unhallowed podcast, but I'll mention it again now. I may actually be appearing on an episode. Might have worked my way into that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, they're talking about The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker that I'm pretty pumped to talk about.
Oh, is that gothic?
According to them, it's got a lot of the tropes there.
Okay, I could dig that.
I don't know that I think about it that way, but I'm pretty excited.
I mean, if the shoe fits, hey. Yeah, I'm still working my way through The Signal Man, but I am excited to listen to their episode on that one.
Oh, I was going to say you're working your way through their episode on it because their episode is like 3 times as long as the story is.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a very short story, but I'm I don't do a lot of spooky stuff, so
It's not that spooky.
I know.
Anyways, folks, it has been another fine episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I invite you to head over to peacefreqs.com where you can check out the show notes, get links to all the stuff that we talked to. You will also find links to connect with us on social media on the network of your choice because we're on all of them and use them to one degree or another. If you like the show, please hit the subscribe button in the podcatcher or wherever you're listening of your choice. And if you want to help spread the word, liking and sharing on your preferred social network is huge because the algorithms don't like organic content. I can share a million things and 5 people will see a half of one of them at 3 a.m. while they're asleep. We'll definitely not be seeing most of them.
Yeah.
If you want to do us one go better, go rate and review us on iTunes because if you do that, it helps put us up in the charts and shows us to more people. Basically, when someone searches for something that's close, they're more likely to see us than something else. Now, if you want to be real awesome, you can donate to the show and head over to upgradetheshow.com. You can do it via PayPal or we also have crypto options.
Yes, that thing.
And everything goes towards the cost to keeping the show going. Anything over and above that will be used to help advertise and help grow the community. So we have more people talking about being parents and trying to be the best parents they can and trying to create the best families out in this world. And especially those ones where, they're less than Martha Stewarty. So anyone who gives us a review or donates will get a shout out Casey Kasem style on the episode of the show. So just email a screenshot of whatever you do to peacefreqs@nickmcone.com and let me know so we can make that story wonderful for you. You want to propose to your wife on the show? That would be awesome.
Aw.
I'd love to have a marriage proposal for someone every episode. I don't know that it would make sense and would probably ruin the novelty of it, but to each their own. It'll give me something fun to talk about.
There you go.
Anyways, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week.
Thank you.
Take it easy. This podcast is a proud creation of the Mad Audio Lab. For more information, check out madaudiolab.com. Peace Freqs is part of the Liberty Hippie Podcast Network. If you like what we do, be sure to check out Homesteads and Homeschools, Free Markets Green Earth, Cannabis Heals Me, and This Week in Liberpods. We're living proof that libertarian doesn't mean washed up Republican.